Welcome to the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast, the go-to place to gain financial freedom through real estate investing. Here we interview investors, mentors, and entrepreneurs who share their secrets and advice to help you build passive income. Let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, this is Augustino. To build success in the multifamily game requires a great deal of vision, grit, and determination. And if you're starting from zero, it requires even more than all three to create legacy success. Well, today's guest has had to do all these things to build a successful business, and he's just getting started. At a very young age, he moved to New York City and took on a job as a commercial real estate broker, but then he realized the power of real estate firsthand. And it was at that point, he decided he was going to go all the way in. So after a few years of misstarts and failures, he's been able to build his real estate business to take it to brand new heights. So as a CEO of CLE Turnkey Real Estate and the host of the Legacy Wealth show, his focus is on educating the masses on becoming financially free through commercial real estate. So with all that, I'd like to welcome my good friend, Tim Bratz, to the show. Hey, Tim, thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate you having me, buddy. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Well, if you like what Tim has to say, you can reach him via his contact page at legacywealthholdings.com. And if you like our content, please don't forget to leave a comment and rate the show. Finally, text the word freedom along with your name and address to 202-410-4202, and you can receive a free ebook, The Bulletproof Guide to Finding a Broker. All right, Tim, maybe go ahead and tell the listeners about how you got your start in this whole real estate thing.
Well, I was going through college when the market was going crazy, right? So 03 to 07, everybody's making money in real estate. You got a pulse, you're making money in real estate. And got started, working in kind of construction, had a painting company, worked for a big home builder as an intern, and just realized that real estate was what I wanted to pursue. I was motivated by money back then, and there was a lot of money in real estate. And so that's what I ended up doing. So graduated from college in 07, moved out to New York City, like you had mentioned, and got a job. I thought you get involved in real estate by becoming a real estate agent. And so I got my real estate license, but I worked for commercial real estate brokerage, where they were brokering leases and investment sales and that kind of thing. And so, I'm the new kid on the block. They don't give me any buildings to list, but it was just dumpy little retail spaces and office spaces to list. And so I'm marketing these spaces, and there's one spot in Greenwich Village that was 400 square feet, and I get a phone call from a tenant, and they're willing to pay $10,000 a month for 400 square feet. 4% annual increases on the rents, and a 12-year lease term. And I'm thinking, dude, this landlord over the next 12 years is going to make almost $2 million off of one small space. He's got 8, right? And they're all bigger than this one, and he's got 15 stories of apartments above it. And so I quickly realized I'm on the wrong side of the coin. I need to be owning real estate instead of brokering real estate, and decided that I wanted to become an investor. So I think all of us get involved in real estate for that allure of passive income and residual income and mailbox money, but then we get stuck in this transactional trap, right? We're trading our time for money, and we're on this hamster wheel of doing deals, and we do a deal, we get paid, but then we got to go do another deal and get paid again. And that's what happened to me, at least. And I moved down to Charleston, South Carolina, and spent about 5 years there. Just being bad at real estate, I'm buying houses, I'm fixing them up, I'm buying them on my credit card because I'm a punk 23-year-old kid. Nobody's going to loan me money. But I'm doing all the work. I'm putting the sweat equity in personally. And this is after the market tanked. And I did my first deal. Again, I bought it on my credit card, dumpy duplex. It was an absolute pig. I put lipstick on it. It was still a pig. And, but I got one of the neighbors to come in, make me an offer. And I made $14,000 on my first deal I ever did in 2009 at the bottom of the recession, right? I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm making money. So let's do it again. I got into wholesaling. And then I started meeting people through wholesaling that, had money, but maybe didn't have the time, maybe didn't have the bandwidth, maybe didn't have the knowledge on how to go out and do real estate. So just cut deals with them where they put up the money, I do the work, and we figured out a way to do deals together and split up the profits together, and did that for a little bit. Built up a small portfolio, about 10 units down there. That was cool. And I wasn't rich, but I was financially free actually at 25 years old. I had 10 rentals, including my own primary residence. I had 2 of the other rooms rented out to buddies. And after all expenses, after all debt service, after everything, I had $3,000 a month in living expenses to cover my personal overhead. That was minimal at the time, $2,000. So, essentially I'm financially free. Again, I wasn't rich, but I had $1,000 of just free, like residual mailbox money or whatever. And I really liked that aspect. I got involved in another business, happened to be a network marketing company, sold my properties, dumb thing to do, but I got a lot of personal development, made some great connections out of it. But also went broke. I had 25 grand in credit card debt. I had about 80 bucks in my bank account in July of 2012. And I'm like, what am I doing? I had to borrow money to make the minimum payment on my credit card. I had to, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but like I was paying for gas with coins out of the cup holder of my car. I don't know if you've ever been
that before. Yeah.
Dude,
oh yeah.
You ever been pay for gas with like $1.42 of cents of change, and like friggin' embarrassing, man. And so, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing with my life? And why did I get away from real estate? Because it was what worked. And so I decided to leave that company. And I was one of the top 1% of performers in that company too, So you can only imagine what's going on with everybody else. And I just couldn't do it anymore, right? And I decided that I was going to go back into real estate. And two of the top guys actually in that company who did make a lot of money said, hey, we'll throw some money at real estate and at you, and let's create some sort of partnership. So partnered up with those guys. They put up a few $100,000 initially, and then increased their investment to about $1.3 million total over the course of about 3 or 4 years. And the partnership just kind of went south though. I became more valuable. They didn't want to put in more money, so they became less valuable to the business. And there was a inconsistency in seeing eye to eye. And so we decided to go our separate ways. We liquidated, we had a little over 100 units, maybe 150 units, 140 units in 2015, 2016, liquidated all those. And I've been building my own portfolio since. And so, that was one of those things where like you think it's such a setback. Oh my gosh, I've worked my entire adult life creating this portfolio, but really, man, it just opened me up for so many more opportunities and opened me up to go and do so many more things. And ended up starting my current portfolio in August of 2015. And over the course of the past, I guess it's been 4.5 years, I'm at 3,700 units as we talk today. I got another 600 under contract, and some land that I'm working on building or flipping. We're going to see what that happens there, and bunch of momentum, right? That's so awesome. Everything's going great, and we're just rocking and rolling, keeping our head down, looking for deals, looking for money, and dialing in operations. If you do those three things, you're gonna be all right in real estate.
That's right. Well, before we would dive into the development side of business, so that's going to be interesting, because I find that many guys in our space are getting into that realm. Maybe talk to a little bit about the mindset first. There's many people out there that are always a little hesitant about getting into this business in the first place, right? And you worked it out with some partners, and it went south, but everything had turned out okay because you protected yourself or whatever. But before you even did that, I find that many people they really need that either they need a push or they just don't believe enough. And I don't know. I mean, I have my own thoughts around it, but I mean, what are your general thoughts around that?
You mean why they wait to get into real estate or wait to get into their own business at all? What do you mean?
Anything. I mean,
both?
It's taking action. Yeah, it's just taking action.
So it's. I think it goes back to like caveman days, right? And we have these internal hormones that are released whenever fear comes in. And these hormones are so strong that when you feel fear, it almost like paralyzes you. You don't want to do anything that could put you in a dangerous situation. And that was important back in the caveman days because you had to worry about a saber-toothed tiger jumping on your neck and eating you, right?
Right.
We don't have real danger today. But those internal instincts are still there. And so now we use those same hormones get released by mindset games and stuff that happens inside of our head and stories we make up inside of our head that aren't real, right? It's fear, but it's not danger. They're two different things. And dude, I remember sitting back at a conference one time, and I heard this guy up on stage say, dude, fear and faith are the exact same thing. They're both believing in something that has not yet come to pass. They're both believing in something that never happened. They're both believing in a story that you're making up in your head.
Yeah.
The difference between faith and fear is that one is positive and one is negative. And the difference is chosen by us. We get to decide whether we're going to listen to the positive aspect of faith or the negative aspect of fear. And so why not choose to just be positive? I think a lot of people look at the obstacle instead of the opportunity. Yeah. And that paralyzes people. And so when you get out of the fear mentality and you focus on what's possible, like, dude, what could happen in real estate? There's a lot of stuff that could happen in real estate. Guess what? I walked into houses with roaches falling on my head that were infested with friggin' bugs. I walked out of houses with fleas crawling up my jeans. I left my jeans in the parking lot and drove home pantsless. Thank God I didn't get pulled over, right? And, like, I've had contractors burn me many times, probably, I don't know, hundreds, if not millions of dollars, definitely multiple hundreds of thousands, right? I've had tenants chase me out of houses, with baseball bats, putting dents in the wall while they're being evicted. I got to call the police, right? I've had pipes burst in the middle of, I don't remember, a couple years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was. We had this, it was 2014, the winter of going into January 2014. We had like 2 weeks of sub 20 degree temperatures. Mm-hmm. And I had this 13 unit building in Lakewood, Ohio, where the pipes all burst in the middle. Dude, it doesn't burst during the day, man. It bursts always in the middle of the night on a weekend, right?
Right.
And it bursts
that's what it happens. Yeah, that's right.
Why would it burst during the day, during business hours when plumbers are open and stores, right? It only happens in the middle of the night. And I got to go find a 24-hour Walmart, drive across town one way in order to buy a bunch of space heaters to then take to all these tenants because the boiler system busted, right? Yeah. And so now it's negative 20 degrees. Nobody has heat. I have a $50,000 bill that's coming down the pike, right? And this building's not even performing yet and all this other stuff. And you got to deal with those headaches, right? So, like, could you lose money? Could you get screwed by a contractor? Could a tenant burn you? Could you go bankrupt? Like, dude, absolutely. Those are all real risks. But guess what else is a possibility? You could get rich. You could get wealthy. You could build a financial wall around your family that nothing could ever penetrate. You could give your kids any sort of education they could possibly want. You can take them up and take exotic vacations around the world that other people only read about in books. Right? You can go and give to whatever charity or philanthropic institution you want and make a massive impact on other people's lives if you just stick through and you're willing to focus on the opportunity and not the obstacle, right? So stop looking at the obstacle, look at the opportunity in the obstacle, not the obstacle in the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the story you tell yourself is what it is, right?
100%,
you listen to the faith, listen to the fear, and it's like, so whatever the story is you make up in your head between these two options is what you're going to live. And sure, we can live in fear. And ultimately, something you just pointed out, no one's going to die if you screw something up, if you screw up a building, pipe bursts, boiler breaks down. No one's going to die. You might get sued.
Not real danger, right?
Right, it's not real danger. Yeah, you might get sued. You might lose a bunch of money, but you're not going to die. Right. But it all depends on how you run your business too. So, but in your case, you built up a huge portfolio already, and now you're moving into development. So development's a whole different animal, right? Doing this, I think you're doing some ground up stuff too, I've seen, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Did you face that same sort of thing when you saw, like, and I'm not sure how much experience you have with the whole development side of the business, but it's very different than doing multifamily. How did you kick that off? Like, why'd you do it and how'd you kick it off?
I think there's two ways to get involved in anything and get educated in anything, right? And one is you go and screw up. And you screw up and screw up and screw up, and you learn by getting punched in the throat over and over and over again. And you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. Okay, I'm not going to do that again. Okay, you lose time, you lose money. And so, you know, I see some people developing property, and I'm like, dude, if this guy's making money, I'm going to get rich doing this, right? Like, they're not that bright. And, but at the same time, I don't want to go through those learning curves. So what I did is I partnered up with somebody who knows development. They know new construction, they know building. And I found somebody who, a lot of times in business, what you'll find is that somebody's really good at the technical aspect, but they're not as good as at the business elements, right? And that's why a guy like Warren Buffett can come in and own dozens of companies, because he understands the business elements, the finance, the accounting, the human resources, the operations, the cash flow management, the marketing, the sales, all those different things transcend industry. So if you understand the business, you can get into any type of business, any type of industry, and be successful. But there's still the technical element. There's still the science behind it. There's still the scientist who knows that aspect of it. And development, I'm really good at the business side. I don't necessarily know the development side, but you can always partner or joint venture or hire somebody who does know that, right? And so I got a good buddy who's down in Georgia and has some opportunities. I can raise money. I can handle back office, asset management, capital management. I can sponsor loans because I have the balance sheet to do that. What I need, the biggest need for me was I need somebody who understands development, right? So he's bringing deal flow and he's overseeing the operations and the new construction of these things. So I've been able to then focus on what I'm good at. And guess what? Because I'm good at it, I like doing it. This other stuff, I'm not good at it, so I don't like doing it. So I put it off and it doesn't get done as well. It doesn't get done on time. And by partnering, I can focus on what I'm good at, what I like to do, and be happier. And he can focus on what he's good at, what he likes to do, and be happier. And guess what happens, dude? All of a sudden we can do more deals together because we're both focusing on what our core competency is and what our unique ability is in our partnership.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about this development deal you got working on then. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so I got 4 or 5 development deals right now, all in like South Carolina and Georgia area.
Yeah.
That's my partner down there. So he's got access to deal flow, property. He knows the zoning laws. He's got attorneys down there that handle all that stuff. So awesome. We're utilizing our resources. One deal that is just, it's one of those deals, dude, like if I can get this one deal, I'm set, right, for life. And so it was a base hit deal when we initially got it. We found some land, good area outside Charleston, South Carolina, to build 60 apartments on. And five buildings, 12 units apiece, pretty clean, pretty easy, up and coming kind of area, good school district, safe location, not luxury by any means. We don't do anything luxury because I think that stuff gets hit pretty hard when the market shifts, unless you're in just primo location. Then it makes sense. If you're in like the downtown area of a city, then it can make sense to do luxury because that's where there's a lot of demand for that. In this is kind of outskirts. There's not a lot of luxury demand. So we need to build workforce housing. A, B class is kind of what we focus on. And our business model is very similar to the Burr method of single family. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, rinse and repeat. And that's what we do. So we want to be all in for 65% of the stabilized value of the after repair value. And then we turn around and instead of selling the property, like I see a lot of syndicators doing right now, dude, then you have a high paying job. You're back in the rat race, right? You're back on the hamster wheel, trading your time for money. It's not what I believe in. I believe in building wealth. That's why my company's Legacy Wealth Holdings. That's why my podcast is Legacy Wealth Show, right? Like my fund is Legacy Wealth Fund. Like all these things are legacy wealth because I believe in holding assets and growing assets, letting that asset appreciate, letting somebody else pay down the loan amount on that. And then all over time, you're creating substantial amounts of wealth. So for me, what I end up doing is I buy an apartment building. We buy it, renovate it. Might be all in for $6.5 million, which is right around the ballpark of where this 60 unit was, right around just over $100,000 per unit. And then we turn around, it would have been worth about $9.5 to $10 million on the back end. So if it's worth $10 million and I get a 70% loan, that's a $7 million loan. I can pay back the construction financing. I can pay back my investors. And then it leaves a little bit of refi proceeds and another $3 million of equity that's still in the project. So then I can take those investors, I can recycle their money into another deal, right? And so on this project, crazy deal, dude. We buy the land, we get all the zoning and stuff in place, we close on the land, or we contract it, and then we get the zoning, then we close on it. And while we're going through that process, a local hospital, it's like a block away, reaches out to us and says, hey, we have a desperate need for housing for our travel nurses and our traveling doctors. Can we come in and can we rent 40 of your units. Now this is something, it would have been a base hit, right? It would have been a base hit. They would rent for about $12.50 a month.
Yeah.
And good little long-term deal, but not getting rich off of it. Maybe eventually over time it's worth 15, 20 million bucks and whatever. They come to us and they say, we'll take 40 of your units for 3 years. We'll guarantee rent on all 40 of them every single month. And we'll pay you $2,500 per unit.
Oh my God.
Double market rent.
Sure.
So this deal that would have been a good deal, we would have, I don't know, made 15, 20 grand a month in cash flow after expenses, after debt service, 15, 20 grand a month. All of a sudden, dude, our cash flow on it. So let's go, let me backtrack for a second. This valuation comes in. They gave us a $100,000 deposit. We're building the buildings. We're going through that whole process right now. It'll be done in about 2 months, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 100, 120 days. By the time they actually occupy it. So they're coming in. You know what they just called us with? Like last month or 2 months ago? They said, hey, we actually need all 60 units. Can we take all 60? And then the city calls me last week. We haven't done all the numbers and stuff of what it's going to end up being, but the city calls us last week and says, hey, you guys want to build an extra 12 units? We could fit another 12 units on there. So I think you can do one more building if you guys want and do 72. And I bet you the hospital would come in and take all 72 units.
Sure.
So let's just use the numbers on the 60 because that's all I've run so far. 60 units at $2,500 a piece. If you backtrack and you realize this, like, dude, that extra rent goes straight to the bottom line. We're paying a little bit in additional expenses because we're covering some utilities and some things like that. But I don't know, what is that, $100 a month? And we're getting $1,250 extra. So really $1,150 a month goes straight to the bottom line. And it takes our cash flow from whatever it was, $15,000 to now we're gonna be able to get a new loan. The new valuation on this thing at like a 6.5 cap, which is all day we'll get that on this building for new construction in this area. It'll appraise for around $22 million.
That's crazy, man.
Dude,
insane.
6.5, 6.7 probably. 22 million bucks, a little over 22 million. They're not going to give me a 70% loan because I'm only in for 6.5.
Right.
But I think they'll give me about my loan. My broker thinks we'll get at least a 50% LTV loan. So they'll give me $11 million. I'll take out nearly $4.5 million tax-free within about 15, 18 months of when we bought the land. $4.5 million in our pocket. Then we still have $11 million in paper value on the property because its loan's $11 million, we're $22 million. So increases my net worth significantly. And even cooler is talking about the cash flow. All of that money, that $1,100 a month, goes straight to the bottom line. Dude, it's somewhere around it's $800,000, very conservatively, it's $800,000 a year in cash flow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I think it'll be more than that, dude. I think it'll be closer to $80,000 a month, which is closer to like $950 to $1 million a year in cash flow, not net. That's after operating expenses. That's after debt service. That's pure cash coming into our pocket every single month after this thing is leased out. So, dude, you think about, I own 25% of that deal, 25.5%. I take I'm going to put about $1.1 million tax-free in my pocket from that deal. I'm also going to put around $20,000 a month in cash flow into my pocket from that deal, $225,000 to $250,000 a year. And it increased my net worth by $2.5 million. A single small 60-unit deal.
That's crazy.
Right?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, dude, that's the kind of deal that you just get lucky on, right? Like you were in the right place at the right time and this and that and all this other. Dude, I've been planting seeds and shoveling shit for 15 years in real estate, right?
Right.
And I've been shoveling shit, hoping, praying, like dealing with all the nonsense, hoping that one day I'd get lucky that a deal like this came across my plate.
Right.
And what I can liken it to is like Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is like the forefather of personal development, right? He was Tony Robbins' mentor. And Jim Rohn has this like sowing and reaping analogy where he's like, You got to plant seeds. And some of those seeds are going to blow away. Some of those seeds are going to get burned up by the sun. Some of those seeds will never actually take root. Some of those seeds will be bad seeds, right? They won't get the water that they need, whatever. And he goes, and a lot of people get derailed because those seeds never grow. It goes, some people might even say, I'm not going to plant seeds next season, right? I'm not going to plant any more seeds. Well, here's what I can tell you. If you don't plant seeds, I can guarantee you'll never have a harvest, right?
That's right.
But if you plant seeds and you know that you got to plant seeds, you know you're going to lose some, you know some aren't going to be, you know, there's going to be base hits. Some of them you might lose a little bit of money. Some of them you might make a lot of money. Some of them, you know, might get blown away. Some of them might not turn out to anything, but you're planting seeds. And you just keep on planting seeds, knowing that 5 days from now, some of them might sprout. 5 months from now, some of them might sprout. 5 years from now, some of them might sprout. 50 years from now, they might sprout. It just takes time, right? You don't know when they're going to sprout, but I promise you, if you're not planting seeds, nothing's ever going to sprout. You're never going to have a harvest. No fruit will ever develop, right? And even though you can't see the results of your actions today, dude, I'm still on a podcast, right? I don't know what this could monetize. I don't know if there's going to be deal flow or money flow or joint venture opportunities or, I mean, dude, because of us on this, we were talking about a deal before we started recording on this that might be a deal that would be an awesome deal that I know you're working on that maybe I can bring value to. And guess what happens? If we didn't schedule this podcast, like this was supposed to be done like 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you had that deal under contract 2 weeks ago. Now you do. Now you can tell me about it. Now, dude, I don't know. I don't know how this stuff works. But guess what? I'm on a podcast. I'm talking with you. It creates opportunity. And now I might get, even if I never get a deal from my listeners who listen to this or your listeners who do listen to this, just being on the podcast might create an opportunity with you and you creating an opportunity with me, right? And so we're planting seeds. We're not sure what the metrics are on it. We're not sure how to monetize it. But if you're not planting seeds, does that deal happen? I don't know, right? And so, or I can almost guarantee, or I can guarantee that it doesn't happen if you're not planting seeds. You've got to be planting seeds at all times, knowing that some of them are not going to take root. Some of them are going to get blown away. Some of them are going to get dried up by the sun. But some of them are taking root. And some of them you can't see the fruits yet because it grows down before it grows up, right?
That's right.
But it is working underneath the surface. And I've been waiting 11 years in my investing career for this deal to come across my desk, right? And I've been planting seeds and I've been performing on all these other different things for the past 11 years in order to get lucky on a deal like this. And you know what happens? Dude, you go through and you get kicked in the nuts over and over and over again on all these different projects. Eventually, you only do good projects because you know that nobody can pull the wool over your eyes, right? You know how to structure things. You know how to do due diligence financially and physically and all these different things. And you know, eventually, like now all my deals are good deals because I sort through all the bad deals and I try to kill deals. And if I can't kill it, then I know it's a good deal. And so it looks lucky, but dude, I've paid my dues and I've been through and I've partnered with the right people and I've done all these things where now all my deals are good deals and it looks like I'm lucky, but dude, it's been 11 years of getting kicked in the balls.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it doesn't happen by accident. There's no accident here, you know, and actually thinking about it too, you know, our seed really started 2 years ago. I think when you were first on the show, right? It's been a while. It's been a while. So it's like, that was just one conversation. And then it's like, now here we are again 2 years later.
We're connected on Facebook and now we're staying in touch. And all of a sudden, hey man, let's do another one, right? You invite me back on and all of a sudden, boom, a 2 year seed. You would have thought that seed was dead if it didn't grow for year one, or you would have thought it was dead for sure if it didn't grow year two. Year three, it finally takes root, dude. That's a great point.
And that's why I say, it's like, I tell people, get out there and network, talk to people, get out of your comfort zone. There's no money on your couch in front of Game of Thrones. There's no money there. The money's outside.
Yeah. I mean, like I got a good buddy who's writing a book about talking to strangers, and it's really cool. I don't want to give the title away or anything, but it's like, everybody's got the stranger danger is the premise of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, everything you ever wanted in your life or anything you ever could want in your life, a stranger has, or a stranger can help you get, right? Yeah. And if you think about it, everybody, dude, my mom was a stranger before I met her, right? Like, my dad was a stranger. My siblings were strangers. My wife was a stranger, right? You and I were strangers. Like everybody was a stranger before. Like, don't talk to strangers. What do you mean don't talk to strangers? Like, Like, you got to go and talk to strangers, because a stranger could have exactly what you need at this time in your life. So go and talk to people and network and meet people and get connected. It's important stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now, what would you say is the one book that it's your favorite all-time book that really helped maybe even change your life?
So Jim Rohn is he's like a grandfather to me in all of his personal development, his insights, and his impact that he's had in my life. I never met the guy, but I learned of him like a month after he passed away, unfortunately. But his books have been, and his philosophies have been life transforming for me. And so one of the books that I read every year is a book called 12 Pillars by Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. And easy read, like 100 pages. You'll knock it out in 1 or 2 sittings. It reads so simply, but it's just packed with profound principles on how to just build a good life, right? And how to develop skill sets and put your priorities in order and all these different things. And so really, really, really powerful book, man. I gift it to a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, people need to read stuff like that. Self-improvement, personal improvement is one thing that changed my life for the better too. I mean, it was, I had some really bad starts too, man. And personal development is what saved me. It's what got me everything I got going on so far, where we're going to. So it's going to be huge. Yeah, absolutely huge. Highly recommend it, guys. Definitely check it out. All right, guys. Well, if you want to reach out to Tim, you can reach him via his website, legacywealthholdings.com. I hope you got inspired. Hope you got a lot of good insight, especially on the development side of the business. Thanks for your time, brother. Really great.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
And you can also connect with me on social media. I'm always giving out free information on social media. So just like I know you are. So, and in this, we'll post it on social media, and it's an amazing podcast. So you guys are listening to the right guy. Augustino, man, I appreciate all the value that you bring, and appreciate you having me, brother.
Thanks, man. All right. Talk to you soon, and stay in touch, guys.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast.